everyone, and welcome to the Gearycast. I'm Alex Ashmore, and we're on the Sports Social Podcast Network as ever and Sport Direct Radio. Just the two of us today. I'm joined by Mr. Chris Marquez. Chris, how are you doing?
How? What do you think? We made it to the final.
We did. We're in the final.
How am I going to be, Alex?
Estamos en la final.
What a stupid question. Start over. No, let's continue.
It feels like, although it's only been a couple of days, it feels like weeks has passed since that Celta Vigo game. I don't know about you.
This week is passing by very, very slow.
Yeah.
Like slow motion the whole week.
I think next week will be even worse when we've done the first leg and we're waiting for the second leg.
Especially my work week seems to not come to an end.
Well, I guess that pushes into what we're going to be talking about today. A little bit of news, and then we're going to review the Celta game and then talk about the final against Gimnastic de Tarragona. Chris, you're going this weekend to the first leg, I assume?
I'm going, yes.
Are you going next week as well, or are you thinking?
I'm trying, still not figured out a ticket. So I'm to get a ticket.
That is one thing I think we saw this week, that Malaga are thinking about putting a big screen in La Rosaleda, which, I had the opportunity to watch the Champions League final at the Bernabeu on the screens, and it's a good experience. So I think...
I don't like it that much, though. I watched Feyenoord against Roma in the final of the Conference Cup. Not really my thing.
You did lose that, though, so I think that
we lost it. Yeah. That might winning.
I think if you'd have won it, it might have been a little bit more enjoyable.
You're lucky, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I guess
you don't need tickets for anything.
It is. Well, it's one of the lucks of one of the positives of being a journalist. You get
but then you also have to work very, very hard because
this is true.
Wow, I have seen a lot of commentaries, Alex, but you were doing it and alone and for the full 115 minutes. Well, plus edit time. You did a massive job, and the way you celebrated the goals was crazy.
Well, really? We'll see more of that later. We've got some surprises for the podcast, which, if you're wearing headphones, just as a little word of warning, do maybe turn the volume down. I will say again before we play it. Let's get into some news, Chris. It's been, as you say, a kind of a slow week. As I did say, Malaga are looking at putting screens at Rosaleda for next week, but I'm sure we'll talk about more, hopefully have more news on that one after Saturday as we head into the second leg. One of the, I guess, bigger news items this week, and something we've heard already this season, Samuel Castillejo did an interview with Sur Deporte where he said he would like to come back to Malaga. And, from my point of view, we were talking about this off air, Chris, I dislike it when players... Obviously, I love it when players say, I would love to come back to my home club, but I think I get a bit fed up of them saying it and then not doing it, if that makes sense. You see the likes of Lucas Perez buying out his contract to then go and play for Deportivo La Coruña. If you want to do it, I know obviously not everyone's in the financial situation to do something like that, but
I feel like Castillejo is in the position to do it. He's now 28, I believe.
Yeah. I think he's still of an age where he could offer something to Malaga for quite a good.
Any other team in Europe. I mean, let's be honest.
I
also think, because he in a previous interview said, if I'm doing it, I don't want to do it and retire like being at a certain age where I don't have much to offer anymore.
So he's 29. Obviously, began his career at Malaga, came through the Malaga Academy, and then went on to Villarreal, AC Milan, Valencia, and his last gig was on loan at Sassuolo this season. And so, he's still of a very good age in terms of footballing terms. He's 29, still a lot to offer. It's a silly question.
I mean, let's be honest, he was there last weekend.
Yes. Well, someone else who was there last weekend, Javier Munoz, we'll get onto that in a bit. But silly question, really. Would you have Samuel Castillejo back?
Samu Castillejo, yeah. Munoz,
Yes.
I wouldn't.
Okay, yeah.
Did he
But
offer much that season where he played for Malaga, did he?
no, I think he had sparks and moments, but never a consistent run of form. But yeah, to be honest, I think it is a silly question. I would have Samuel Castillejo back in a heartbeat at
But
Malaga.
would I want him back in Primera RFF? No. Because
You'd rather in Segunda.
yes, but also for him. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I mean there is a difference.
Yeah, oh definitely. Yeah, I think
And he's 29.
when you look at the level in ability of some of the teams, the bottom team in Segunda would, I think in terms of quality, maybe not some of the bottom teams, but the average teams in Segunda would wipe the floor with most teams in Primera, I'd say. You look at teams that finished in the mid-table, maybe teams that missed out on playoffs, Racing de Santander. I think they would wipe the floor with most of the Primera teams this year. And yeah, if he wants to come back to Malaga now while we're in Primera, he's more than welcome to. But yeah, I think going forward, to be honest, I think if we did get promoted, he would be a brilliant signing, because that is one of my worries. If we go up, we won't have the money to reinforce the squad, and we go back down. And in my, from my point of view, I think it's worse to go up and then come back down rather than not getting promoted. I'd rather stay in.
We're not the Venga boys.
Yeah, I'd rather stay in Primera another year than go up and then come straight back down.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, yeah, Samuel Castillejo wants to come back to Malaga.
But also, him saying that, I mean, it not only depends on Samuel Castillejo, it also depends on Malaga Club de Football, whether they want him. So I think this is a first step of him by telling openly what he wants.
Yeah, I think letting the club know, putting
he's
the feelers
out with the club. That's what he's doing.
I'm sure he's if he hasn't already, I'm sure he's very close to privately contacting the club saying I am interested in it.
I think the time of playing hard to get is over. Because he already said it twice in the interview now.
Yeah, I think he's being very direct about it. And
yes.
Yeah, well, I'm sure most people would have him back.
I would play for Malaga instead for Sassuolo either as well. You know what I mean? No, but Sassuolo is not a team where you say, wow. When he played for AC Milan, I can understand. You're a player from AC Milan. I can understand that you don't want to leave AC Milan. If he would be playing for any other top tier, Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona, I would say you're crazy if you leave. But Sassuolo.
Yeah. No, so just to add on the interview that he did, so he did a couple actually with Sur Deporte and then also Diario AS. And in the interview he did with Diario AS, he said, obviously he has a contract until the end of next season. So I don't think it would happen this summer
because they
buy him unless he buys out his contract like Lucas Perez did to go to Deportivo.
How many people would do that?
It's true. Not many. So he said, I want to come back to Malaga regardless of the division that they're playing in. So, stating his intent of, not being bothered about playing in Primera, like you said, he's currently under contract at Valencia. If he doesn't think he's going to get much game time, and then maybe he can get Malaga promoted or just join us.
He has a contract with Valencia, right?
Yes, so he was on loan at Sassuolo and he's got a year left on his contract at Valencia.
I think there's a big chance Valencia is looking to get him play on loan again.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe ending his contract, because I'm guessing he's quite an expensive player to have.
That's the one thing. I don't think a loan for Malaga this season is an option because we probably couldn't afford his wages. And if Valencia are going to send him on loan, they'll want the team that are taking him to take the majority of
Yeah,
his wages.
they won't. They're not going to put him on loan to I don't know, to Malaga, because
No.
at the end of his contract they want to sell him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they want to sell him this summer. I don't know.
Be interesting to see what happens there. We did talk about, obviously, Javier Munoz was at La Rosaleda supporting his former.
Is it Joaquin Munoz?
Joaquin, sorry, yes. I'm getting my Spanish names mixed up. It shows you how long ago it was. It feels like ages ago since he was at the club. Joaquin Munoz. He's now at Huesca, I believe. I think he's at.
I believe it. I know he was a player from Huesca when he played alone for Malaga.
So Joaquin Munoz played for Malaga. He was on loan from Huesca, and he's still at Huesca.
Is he still at Huesca?
They didn't have the best of seasons. They finished.
They're also a bit of a boring club, aren't they?
Just above the relegation zone in Segunda. He played 37 times for Huesca this season, didn't score, and recorded 4 assists. So not exactly a brilliant season.
Player from Huesca.
So yeah, a player that he spent the 2021 season on loan at Malaga, which makes it feel like that's even longer ago. I thought it was more recently than that, but it would have been the first season back after COVID. And yeah, so he was at La Rosaleda. Did you say Samuel Castillejo was at La Rosaleda as well last weekend?
He was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, a few players coming back to visit. Moving on to, I guess our last piece of news. 2 new signings. A slight here we go in a very unexcited way. Obviously, this is a youth signing announcement. Malaga have signed 2 youngsters, a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. Abraham Doña, who scored 24 goals in 28 games at the juvenil level this season. He's a striker. And David Crespillo, 16, who left Malaga in 2022 and scored 11 goals in 10 games at the cadete level this year, 7 in 14 at juvenil and 1 in 4 at the senior level. So 2 youth signings for the future. Obviously, we don't know much about them at the moment, but it's good to see the clubs looking at the local area, and I think it's been something the club's done for a while now. Look for local players and youth talent within the Malaga region.
I think there is enough talent in the Costa del Sol, but we also, you don't have to close your eyes totally for everything outside of Malaga. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, I know what you mean. There is a balance that needs to be struck.
Yes.
Between signing local players and signing players that, you're not going to ignore someone from the Basque Country if he's a top talent.
Yeah, and if you would sign a decent player, a local decent player, instead of signing the top guy from, I don't know, name a place in Spain or name a place in Europe, because the decent player is from Malaga, I think, I think it's good to look more in the province.
Yeah.
And let not your players escape to other parts of Spain, but at the same time, just be open to everything, just to choose the best.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think it's striking a balance, but hopefully those 2 lads are some players that we can count on in the future. Obviously, they're still very young, 16 and 17 respectively, so I don't think we'll be seeing them in the first team for a while yet. Well, that just about brings us to the end of our news section. Chris, should we go and talk about a certain semi-final win that happened last week?
I think we have to talk about it, don't we?
Yeah, let's go and talk about it, I think. So we will dissect the Celta de Vigo second leg before moving on to the all-important final. We'll see you in the next section. So we beat Celta Vigo in the second leg of the semi-final to reach the final. 2-1 was the score in the second leg after the 2-2 draw at Balaidos in Vigo. Chris, you were there, I was there, Matt was there, Nick was there. It was a brilliant day out. Let's get started with the recibimiento. That was pretty fantastic, wasn't it?
It's amazing how we found each other in the recibimiento. I think that's because finding each other when 20,000 people are waiting for a team to come is not the easiest thing.
It's not.
It is a bit easier when you're Alex Ashmore because you're quite difficult not to see because of your length.
Yeah,
it was crazy, wasn't it?
It was. It was. I mean, yeah, I've only ever been to one recibimiento before, and that was a while ago when we played Depor in our first season back down in Segunda. And this was next level. This was fantastic. You know, the atmosphere, the songs.
I've been to Champions League matches in La Rosaleda. I've been to loads of recibimientos, loads of nice moments in the club's history. When I got at Malaga at 2 o'clock, 2:30, it was very different than any other day. All the bars, all the streets around La Rosaleda were filled with Malaga fans. Something I didn't even see in the Champions League.
Yeah, it definitely did. That's it.
I've never seen such a thing before. This was bigger than when Malaga was playing Champions League. It was crazy. All the attention the club is getting over the past 3 weeks. You probably won't notice it so much when you're not living in Spain or when you're not living in Malaga. But the whole province is going crazy. People who never were interested in Malaga or anything are now stopping me on the street because everybody knows I'm a Malaga fan. And everybody knows that I'm doing the Giricast in this village. And everybody's talking about it.
There was a funny story, actually. I was waiting for the bus back to Marbella after the game, talking to someone wearing a Malaga shirt. So I struck up a conversation with them. And I was talking about how the fact that I do a podcast in English about Malaga called the Giricast. And he was like, "Oh, I was listening to that this morning." So it's always nice to meet someone who listens to the pod, and nice that we have
strange, isn't it?
It is strange. It is weird. I was thinking, I've been fortunate enough to go to quite a few games this season as a journalist, and got to know all the, I guess, local and regular journalists. I was at the Castilla game, and Juanca from Radio Marca gave us a wave. Always seeing the Sport Direct radio guys, and obviously Pedro and Salatel. So it's good to see everyone when I go down there.
I did the same thing on Sunday. I went to Beach Club. I sent in our Giricast WhatsApp group.
I did see that.
It's called Gecko, and it's an amazing place in Benelman. If you ever have the chance on a Sunday, you should go there. It's very easy, very loungy, very chill. It's above the beach, so you see the whole beach and the sea. And I was with friends from this village where I live, and there were some other friends of them. And he said, and one of the guys said, yeah. He asked me, like, one of the guys I didn't know. He said, "Are you a Malaga fan?" I said, "Yeah." And then one of my friends said, "Yeah, he's from the Giricast." He said, "Really?" I follow you guys. And then he took out his phone and then, "Look, I listened to your podcast."
That's very cool.
It was a bit strange.
It's a sort of pinch yourself moment, isn't it? It's like, wow, people actually
listen.
Yeah. Obviously, we know that people listen, but like when you're doing it every week, you sort of forget that people are listening.
Yeah, because we're talking one to one. You know what I mean? We're just talking.
Yeah. So well,
and we're not live, so we don't get any comments or anything.
Thank you to everyone who did listen, and well, especially thank you to everyone who tuned into the live stream on Saturday last week. It was a brilliant day, a brilliant game, and it was good to share it with you all. And this weekend will be more of the same. Hopefully, a similar result for Malaga. Obviously, not sure how the reaction will be if we lose, but there's still the second leg to go. Let's get into it. The game itself. Start off with the lineup, Chris. It was the same as the first leg. Were you surprised? Happy?
I was a bit surprised. And why was I a bit surprised? Because Celta looked very dangerous in the first, in the away leg. So I thought there would be some changes in defense.
What would you changes would you have made, perhaps?
Puga out.
Okay.
Puga out and maybe Juan de out.
Okay. Would you have brought in Aina Galileo in the centre-back position? We talk more about him later.
It's a bit stupid to say that now, isn't it?
But yeah, I guess...
I would put in someone else, and the most logical player, but also not so logical, would be Aina Galilea.
Yeah, I think, obviously you have younger options, but I think with the playoffs you need experience. And I think... Yeah, we'll talk more about Einar later. He was pretty good. I think that was one thing segues nicely into the first 15 minutes, really. I think Carlos Puga going forward, I think I like what he offers. But was
it's not something you should do when you're playing against, or when you do it. The midfielder has to take your place. It's okay to do it.
Yeah.
But if no one covers you,
you're
done. And if the person who has to cover you is La Rubia, he's not a great defender.
No. So I think when I look at what Carlos Puga offers going forward, I like it. But on Saturday, he didn't track back. At all is probably a bit harsh, but hardly. He hardly tracked back. And that really left Nelson Monte open at the back. And their forward, Alfon, who scored in the first leg and then opened the scoring in the second leg. To be honest, I can't put all of the blame on Carlos Puga, but I can put most of it on Carlos Puga. Obviously, Nelson Monte could have done better. But
also very weak, Nelson Monte. But let's not forget that it's not just a match you play. Do you know what I mean? I think it's easier to play away than to play at home in front of your own fans.
Yeah.
Finals.
I think, I mean, obviously
because
this was something...
with a Recibimiento, a lot is coming towards you as a player being in a bus. And of course it's great. But I also think it gives a big load.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It puts that pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And, some of this was something I commented on in terms of the Celta players. We'll come on to it later, but perhaps it was maybe too big of an occasion for some of them. I know some of them have played a lot in the first team this season and have got that experience at the top level. But when you're a young lad playing in front of 30,000 people with 10 away fans, which was a credit to them for travelling down. I'm not sure you get 10 Malaga fans travelling up to Vigo to watch Atletico Malagueño, would you?
Probably.
Maybe you get a couple of hundred, actually. Matt would probably go.
Yeah.
So, I think that first goal, I'd put most of the blame on Carlos Puga, but then, Nelson Monte, he didn't quite look himself in the first half, did he?
No. And was it an impossible ball for our Alfonso Herrero to catch?
I mean, I think if he'd have saved it, I would have gone, oh, that's a good save. You sort of come to expect the best from Alfonso Herrero. I
have to say, he also was incredible a few times in the match.
Oh, yeah. He, that save he made when he tipped over the bar.
This one was not impossible.
No, I don't think it was impossible, but I also don't think you could blame him too much for not saving it. I think it was a difficult save. It was a good shot.
I think it was a very good goal of Celta Fortuna. A bit of a strange goal.
It's sort of, I mean, that first 15 minutes, Malaga seemed to be controlling possession but not creating anything. But then they let Celta into it with a few counters. Celta were really using that left-hand side. And Alfon, who we know obviously from the first leg was a dangerous player and a quick player. It surprised me that Sergio Peito, obviously he remedied it in the second half, but it surprised me that he didn't focus more on the defensive aspect of that, left-hand side for them attacking and our right-hand side defensively.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It could have been 3-0 at halftime already for Celta Fortuna.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing.
It was just Malaga was nothing, losing the ball very easily. Couldn't get into their own game. It was Celta Fortuna with very dangerous opportunities to score many goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think other than the goal, to be honest, like you said, there were a lot of Celta opportunities, but in terms of Malaga, there wasn't a lot to report on in the first half. And I'd say, would you say it's fair to say that the first half performance was quite a poor performance from Malaga?
Yeah.
Nothing going forward, and at the back looked very
nervy, losing the ball a lot.
Giving the ball away,
which normally didn't arrive. Players choosing strange options instead of easy options.
That was something I noted a lot. I think it was Genaro a few times and Manu Molina. They gave the ball away a lot with wayward passes in the midfield.
Manu Molina was dreadful. And so was Genaro, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I said it last week in a bit of a jokey way, but he really was not looking very good in the first half.
No, I don't know. Just like you said, they looked a bit nervy. They looked a bit apprehensive, a little bit tentative with their balls. And going forward in the final third, they just didn't quite seem to be able to catch that cutting edge with the final ball, and it just never seemed to come together. And well, I think that was probably the story of the first half. And then, I mean, going into the second half, I asked this question on the live stream. Peter generally doesn't make that many changes at half time. Were you expecting him to make any changes?
I thought he would change something. He had to. There was no choice.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Einar.
No.
Because Einar didn't play since the beginning of March.
So he brought Einar on for Nelson Monte and then took David Ferreira off for Kevin Medina. I do think
Kevin for Ferreira made a lot of sense.
I do think it was probably one of David Ferreira's quieter games. He didn't seem to be in the game as much. I think that was also partly due to the midfield.
Yeah, but, and we said it on the preview show, didn't we? That we would understand if Kevin would play because of his defensive work, which is great because he's I think a better defender than an attacker.
We saw that, I think, coming into that first 5 minutes into the first half, Malaga had about 3 shots. I think 2 of them were from Kevin, and he was running around. He was non-stop, wasn't he, in that first 5 or 10 minutes?
He was non-stop.
Which is good to see.
I think the first 10 minutes, when you're losing, the first 10 minutes of a second half are very important and decide for you a bit the result or decide how it's going to end. I think.
Yeah.
Because after the first 10 minutes playing in the second half and nothing has changed, I think even players will stop belief.
Yeah. No, I think we needed to come out that second half and make a statement. We did. The substitutes helped. I think Einar slowly, played a bigger role as the half went on. Like those last 20 minutes, we'll come on to it in a bit, but those last 20 minutes, he saved the game. He was fantastic.
Crazy.
Well, let's go on to it. In minute 58, a little something happened.
Raul Blanco gets the cross in. Really punches away as it falls to Manu Molina on the edge of the box. Dani Lorenzo challenging it. Falls to Roberto, who puts the ball in the back of the net. Malaga have equalised. Malaga. The ball fell to Roberto, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Malaga have have equalised with 59 minutes on the clock. Everyone's going wild. Everyone's hugging the man next to them. Malaga have equalised. Vamos! Confetti going off in front of me. Everyone going absolutely ballistic, hugging everyone to their side. And, well, we have it. Malaga have equalised. As things stand, Malaga will be playing in the final of the Primera Federación playoffs. And we have...
There you go. That happened.
I love the face where you said, well, your face when you said everybody's hugging each other, looking around. Who's hugging me? Someone, please hug me.
Yeah. I made eye contact with the guy in front of me, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we've scored. And I think
give me a hug, please.
If you look very closely in the background of that video, if you scroll back 15 seconds, you can see the lads in the
this one, Alex, was still a bit quiet on this one.
This was a little bit quiet. You can see the lads.
Happy.
The box behind me is the Sport Direct Radio box, and you can see them get quite excited.
Yeah.
And
you were excited here, but not as excited as we're not saying anything. Everybody ready.
I think for me with this one, we deserve this goal fully. I think you know it was a lovely finish from Roberto. You know, he seemed to pause time in that box and just slot it past Julie. And
a bit of a mistake from the defender here as well.
Yeah, you know, he made the most of it, but it was a good finish. And I think the thing is for me with this goal, I don't know about how you felt. I felt obviously a little bit more relaxed, but I knew how well Celta had played in the first half. I was still very nervous. Like the job wasn't done.
No, not at all. Far from it. So I was still a bit scared. I'm not going to lie. It was difficult, wasn't it?
It was. And I think
it was nerve-breaking because I also knew that with the 1-1, we would have gotten extra time. We would have had the 30 minutes. And I didn't see us getting there. People were celebrating. The guy next to me, behind me, he said, oh, yeah, to the final. I said, and that was in the 17th minute. I said, there's still 30 minutes to go after this. He said, what? I said, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It felt like the longest 30 minutes of my life, those last 30 minutes. And I said this earlier, I do think it was night and day, the performances from both sides. Malaga were brilliant in the second half, poor in the first half. Celta in that second half, they seemed a bit shell-shocked, didn't they?
I think Malaga was pushing, and which is normal because you can't be the team pushing the full 90 minutes. Nobody does that. Maybe if you're Manchester City, you can. So you see that, right? You get 10 minutes. You got 20 minutes in which you're better, and then the other one takes over a bit again. And I think after the goal, the fans really stood behind Malaga. And La Rosaleda went crazy. And I think after that 1-1, Celta realized how difficult the second half is going to be with the fans behind it.
Yeah. No, I think the difference in performances, the balls going forward, they just didn't seem to be as creative. They didn't seem to be as, they were being quite conservative in a way. Malaga seemed to be getting to every second ball, every first ball, even they were challenging. The midfield was, completely different. Obviously still giving the ball away, and I think a little bit more risk taking was done in the second half. I think we were a lot better, but I still think there were cases where I was very angry at the midfield for giving the ball away. Silly mistakes.
Being lucky, Einar was there because Einar was was the most important on the pitch. He had some intervenings which were crazy.
Let's talk about Einar because he, like you said, hasn't played since March. He's probably been one of our top centre backs this season when he has played. He's obviously had his moments where maybe he hasn't been on form. And yeah, I think, I mean, actually, if you look at it, so the last game he played, do you want to have a guess at the last game that he played?
I don't know.
So it was Linares at home, the 1-1 draw. So, March, as you said. And for him to come in like that, I think, fantastic. The
There's
intercept.
only a few players in Malaga who can come in to a match after an injury like that. There
Yeah.
are two more. That's Haitam and that's Ramon.
Yes. Yeah. I think, it's, the tenacity that he had. To be honest, at some points I was getting a bit worried that he was going to foul someone and give away a penalty or get sent off. But no, he seemed to calm down. He was level-headed. He was staying on the ball. He'd take the ball and he'd move away and he'd pass the ball to someone. He was superb.
If he played that match in the Champions League final with Real Madrid, he would have done a wonderful job.
He could slot in quite well alongside Antonio Rudiger.
I'm not lying. It would be, you wouldn't even notice that he's a Malaga player. He was top of the top. He was the cherry on the cake.
I'll get on the phone to Carlo Ancelotti and see if he wants to pay 15 million quid for Einar Galilea. A fantastic performance from Einar Galilea. We'll get on to Biznaga later because I think he's definitely in the conversation. We made 2 substitutes before, coming into the last 15 minutes. Lucas Sangali came on for Danny Lorenzo. I mean, I'll jump in there. What do you think of Danny Lorenzo?
Unnoticed. Again, not making the difference. I think especially him and La Rubia were very nervous.
I think La Rubia was a little bit better, but still very quiet.
The first half, he lost the ball so many times.
Going forward in that.
So shy. He was, I don't know, very nervous on the ball.
And then with 5 minutes to go, Joaquin Gabilondo came on for Carlos Pulga. I think a sensible substitution, would you say?
Yeah.
I
think it makes sense. But also, Joaquin wasn't very good in the last couple of matches that he played.
No, I mean, I think the thing is for me was with Carlos Pulga going forward, offering a lot, as we said. But I do think slowly, as the second half went on, Celta did kind of find their feet and they had a few chances going forward. So, I think we did need to shore up that back line. And then in minute 87, I think we're all very nervous. The ball came on. I think it was a sort of a throw in, went to a Malaga player. The cross came in. A Celta player tried to head the ball away. I'm not sure what he was trying to do. And, well, it looped in the air. And if you're listening with headphones, turn your volume down a little bit because this is what happened.
But Malaga do have to be wary. It's been too close too many times. As Kevin swings in the ball, it's headed away at Foster Roberto. The ball will be the back of the net. Malaga scored. Roberto does it again. 2-1. Vamos Malaga. Everyone's feeling absolutely ballistic in front of me. Hugging the man to their left. Malaga have done it with just 2 minutes and no more time on their clock. Malaga are 2-1 up. We've got it. Vamos. Roberto has worked his magic again. That is unbelievable. Once again, the ball falling to the striker. He gets his 17th goal of the season. And Malaga are 2-1 up. They are through to the final if they hold on for this last 2 minutes. Vamos!
So, I mean, quite the reaction. We posted that video on Twitter, and I think my phone wouldn't stop buzzing for the next couple of hours.
304 likes.
Is it up to 304 likes now? Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
outstanding commentary, guys. Juan Frances. Another guy from Spain, from Malaga, says, you rock, man. Fantastico, amazing, grandes, speechless. The hands up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking machine, mi tocayo. Vamos.
I saw some people comparing me to.
Juanje, do you have a Geary brother? You're a fucking pride. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think you'd say you're a. It's a tough translation actually, but you'd probably say you make us proud. You're making us proud. Yeah, you're making us proud.
So yeah, a lot of very nice responses. Also, people retweeted it.
Yeah.
Someone did it in a language I don't understand. Another guy said they are the best. This is pure sentiment. Oh shit. Juanje, the Giri Juanje, what a machine. How he lives it. As I always say, we are not more than anyone, but we have something special, unbelievable. Someone says you can't be of a team of a different city, and then the Giris, and then 2 dots, and then your reaction. Awesome. Unexplainable. Wow, what great. This is Malaga in the purest form. How good these guys are. Someone even calls us genius.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that happened. Roberto, once again, in the right place at the right time, slotting the ball in. I think, look at the replay, and Rulli, the Celta Fortuna goalkeeper, could only watch as it just sort of bounced into the net.
To me, it came out of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that header, so the Celta Fortuna player was trying to head it away, and it sort of looped up over him. And by God, it was...
But it wasn't also that Malaga was pushing a lot in the last minutes.
Yeah, I think they were definitely controlling the game, but I think there were a few moments where, we were wondering if we're going to do this. I did have a feeling something was coming, but as I said on the commentary there, we had to be wary because Celta were slightly pushing back and they were so that kind of sealed it, really. 2-1.
Doesn't take away. I mean, Roberto, outstanding again.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Worked his socks off.
Yeah.
And although both goals came from 2 mistakes of Celta Fortuna players, because let's be honest, those 2 crosses into the box were nothing. Were very poor. But you have to stand there as a striker.
Yeah, you have to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. And it were very much Roy Mackay goals.
Yeah, I think if you look at the mark of a good striker, if he's in the right place at the right time, and I'm actually going to go back to a clip that if you scroll all the way back to our season preview, where Nick and I picked our once ideal, our ideal 11. And I remember getting laughed at for putting Roberto in my 11. I think I'm going to have to dig that clip out because, he scored 18 goals this season. I think I was one off on the commentary. I think he obviously got the penalty in the first leg at Balaidos and then both goals at La Rosaleda last weekend. So 15 in the season and then 3 in the playoffs. I think all we can do is hope for more of the same next week or this weekend and next week. And that kind of sealed it. I think Celta they had the wind knocked out of their sails after that goal, and the final whistle blew. It was a very joyous mood around La Rosaleda. We'll touch on it now before we give the Chumbo Biznaga. It was a nice celebration at the end there, wasn't it?
I completely missed. A friend of mine said, "Shall I bring you home?" I said, "No, thank you. I need to stay in La Rosaleda. I'm going to leave La Rosaleda until they tell me to go. Fuck off, basically."
I think I stayed until it was pretty much empty.
Yeah, I expected a video from you out on the, not on the pitch, but on pitch side,
I think I was more just sort of
closing the night from the Rosaleda.
Yeah, I was in a bit.
That would have nailed it, Alex. I saw other people do it though.
I was in a very joyous mood, and well, it was a fantastic game, and was very happy to be able to ask Sergio Pellicer a press conference question at the press conference after the game, asking for a message to all the international Malaga fans. And well, there's a clip on our Twitter, but yes, he, in an essence, said that
he called you all intelligent.
Yes, he said, they
very intelligent people to support
the feeling. And I think, to be honest, you could see the smile on his face of wow, that there are people all over the world watching Malaga, in Japan, in America, in Australia, in all over the world. It's unbelievable, really. And I think it's nice for them to sort of realize that, and it was nice to be able to ask him a question.
I saw that little smile on his face when you asked the question.
So yeah, Did
you get in trouble with the club afterwards or not?
No. I mean, so I put my hand up as you do in a press conference. Victor saw me, nodded towards me. There's a girl who hands out the microphone, and she gave me the microphone. I saw Victor afterwards, and I said, thank you and well done for the game. And he said, thank you, and then told him I'll see him soon. And well, I'm going to see him in 3-4 days.
Did you get the accreditation?
Yes, I did. I sent the email on Monday night. I did.
So you have to write one more article for La Rosaleda fans as well this week.
I wrote it on the train back from Malaga last week. So it's already in Alfredo's hands. So yeah, let's wrap up this semi-final. Chris, who is your chumbo for the second leg?
A very difficult one.
Give any honourable or dishonourable mentions.
Dishonourable mentions for Puga, Manu Molina, Genaro,
Nelson Monte.
But I'm going with, and La Rubia as well. Mm-hmm. I'm going with Genaro.
Mm-hmm.
Because that worked last week, and
I think I agree with you. I think I agree with all your mentions there. I think there were some below average performances for the overall score, and if you look at, I think the midfield was probably our weakest point in the game. And look at Genaro, there was one point where someone passed the ball in his direction. To be fair, it wasn't all his fault. He got caught lacking, and someone came in. I think it was Raul Blanco, the Celta midfielder. He just took it away from him. There were a lot of balls that were given away in the midfield. David Larrubia and Danny Lorenzo were quite poor in the final third. But yeah, Genaro definitely not at the races for me. So he's my chumbo. A double chumbo. Who is your Biznaga?
There's only one answer possible. Honorable mentions, Roberto. Didn't see much of Sangali.
No,
I don't be worried, but he also didn't make great mistakes.
No,
didn't really understand that substitution. I think more honorable mentions. Yes, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. I think Kevin was good.
Yeah, so he gets an honorable mention. But Einar Galilea, wow, he played the match of his career. He definitely did. This was the match of his career. If you will ask him in 20 years, if his grandchildren will ask him, Grandpa, what was your best match? Sit down on my knee. I will tell you, it was 2024 when I played with Malaga, the semi-finals of the playoffs, and I came in at halftime, didn't play for 2 months, and then...
That's Chris's impression of Einar Galilea at 85 years old.
Yeah. I don't think he is 85 years old in 20 years. I do understand everybody to you that is older than you, that has reached the age of 30. I can understand. For you, they will be 85 years old in 20 years, but
Maybe 50 then. Yeah, to be honest, I think I agree. I think that's the best performance I've seen by a centre back this season at Malaga. I think, in terms of what he did, I know he was only on the pitch for 45 minutes, but he was fantastic. And I think safe to say he won the game for us, because without him, I think also, I do think Juande deserves a mention. I think he was good. But yeah, what were you going to say there about Aina Galileo?
He looked like Senesi this season, this match.
Yeah, he's just non-stop. The way he won the ball was calm, passed the ball out. Just when you think Celta were getting through, he was there. It really got the crowd going, I think. And yeah,
did you see Bournemouth play this season?
I did. I've watched a few of their games.
They have Marco Senesi. He used to play for Feyenoord. And this was a pure Senesi match. He was Einar Senesi.
So does that make Sergio Pellicer Andoni Iraola?
Yeah, sure.
Well, that kind of rounds things off nicely. Malaga did win 2-1. Aina Galileo as our Biznaga and Genaro as the Chumbo. Should we go and talk about I think there's something going on this weekend in Malaga.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. It makes me nervous.
We have to.
I'm skipping next week. I can't. My heart can't take it anymore.
Yes, let's go and talk about a two-legged final against Gimnastic de Tarragona. We do have to talk about it.
No, we don't. Yo, I tell you something. Do you know why it's just me and you?
It's because everyone's off ill.
Yeah.
Playoff fever.
Luke made the excuse that he had to work tonight. He's probably watching Gilmore Girls with his wife.
I wouldn't have that if I were you, Luke.
Matt, because we were recording yesterday, but then Matt was ill. Should we record tomorrow? Maybe I'm not so nervous tomorrow. And then today he found another excuse that he had to do. I don't know what he had to do. And Nick also, out of nothing, he felt very ill. I'm joking.
Yeah. So we're just the two of us tonight, and we've
just the two of us. We can make it on our own, just the two of us. I'm going to try everything not to talk about it.
The GearyCast group has come down with a bout of playoff fever, and Matt did actually say in the group chat, he said he's obviously not feeling the best. He's a bit under the weather, and he was like, just a disclaimer, this isn't me trying to tell you that I have playoff fever. So yeah, it is actually the lads down with a bout of illness.
Yeah. Nick was also a bit.
Yeah. So
and Luke had to watch Gilmore Girls, which I understand.
Yeah, Luke was on season 6, episode 8, or whatever point he's up to in Gilmore Girls. Yes, Malaga play Gimnastic de Tarragona, or Nastic as they're commonly known as, at home this weekend, away in the second leg next weekend. Kickoff this Saturday at 8:30 Spanish time, 8:30 local time. There's another recibimiento at 6:30, I believe, 2 hours before. Once again, Chris, you're going to be there this weekend, aren't you?
What else am I going to do?
You're not going to be too nervous, are you?
No, we're all fine. I believe.
I think everyone in Malaga does.
I believe. I really believe. So I'm not nervous.
You've heard it here first. Chris is not nervous.
No, not at all.
A few disclaimers to get out of the way. We were discussing this off air before we came on. we obviously had this advantage in the semi-final. If both legs, and this is something that we don't have to worry about until next week, but if both their legs at the end of extra time next week end in a draw, Nastic do get promoted because they finished second in Grupo Uno. Malaga finished third. Now, I mean, let's go into the lineups first, Chris. Who would you make any changes? What would you change, or would you keep it the same? Would you? I mean, to be honest, off the bat, I think I would start the team that finished against Celta. What would you do?
I would do the same, but bring in one different player, and that's Einar.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I think
Einar.
maybe starting the same we did against Celta, but then bringing in Einar. And I
You
think, to be
cannot
honest,
not play Einar. The way he played, Kevin played a good match, but Einar, wow.
I think I would also start Kevin. I think going off that performance in the second half, he'll be buoyed up, he'll be
I would
motivated.
bring him in the second half.
No, I could see why you would do that, but then also I just think, a young lad like him, he'll be motivated from that performance, and I think he'll be. And then also, if it doesn't go well, you can bring on David Ferreiro, who will want to prove the point. So yeah, I think Einar Galilea has to play. In terms of the first leg, Chris, you're Sergio Pellicer. You're going into this game. Are you thinking this is a must-win game, or are you saying to the lads, we can afford a draw? Because from my point of view, I don't think we can afford to go to Tarragona with the scores level. I think we have to win this weekend to give us a chance.
I agree. We don't have the advantage of a draw anymore. So I would try and my hope is that we can, I don't know, score 3 or 4, 5, 6. No, I think if you can have a 2-goal difference, it will be massive. If you have 1-goal difference in our favor, both, we would be doing very well. I don't know. I think we need a win.
I do too. I think it's it's something that it obviously was in our favor last week. We were in the second leg. We were playing at home, which always helps, and obviously this time we'll be away at the Estadi Nou Costa Dorada, which is quite a long name. It's a 13,000 seater stadium. We'll obviously preview this more next week, but looking at the team we are playing, Gimnastic de Tarragona, Chris, they've had quite a good season. They finished second in Grupo Uno. They had a pretty good defense. They only conceded one fewer goal than Malaga, 24. What are your thoughts of Gimnastic coming into this game? Obviously we had
we're quite equal.
Yeah? Would you put us a level playing field?
Yeah. I think we kind of play the same football as well, don't we? So I think it's going to be a much more leveled match. The only thing is we have Roberto.
So yes, hopefully Roberto can be the key. So coming into this game, obviously they beat Ceuta. They drew the first leg 2-2 and then won at home 2-1. They came into the playoffs on a decent run of form. They only lost 2 out of their last 7 games, winning their last 3 against Majadahonda, Barcelona Athletic, which is a key win. They're also in the playoff final, and Logroñés, SD Logroñés. I look at their team, top defense in Grupo Uno, the best defense out of the 2 grupos. I think that's obviously a big talking point for them, and I think Sergio Pellicer will be looking at how they can break down that defense,
because our attack is not the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not the most potent. So away from home this season, they've played 19, won 8, drawn 5, and lost 6. They've only scored 15 goals away from home this season in 19 games. They only scored 40 goals all season, which in the grand scheme of things, to finish third and only score 40 goals is quite impressive. You look at the teams around them: Deportivo La Coruña 64, Barcelona.
How many goals did we score?
Celta B 67. You look at Malaga, we scored 51. Teams around us, Cordoba 66, Castellon 74, Ibiza 57, and Ceuta 55. So, yeah, Malaga scored 51 and conceded 25. Tarragona only scored 40 and conceded 24. Away from home, they, won 8, drew 5, and lost 6, scored 15 and conceded 14. So they conceded 14 out of their 24 goals away from home this season, which
it's possible for next Saturday.
It's not the best of stats looking at their away form. This will be something for next week. Their home form is very good. But yeah, I think something that Malaga can take a positive from, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I think we have to look at the rival, but not too much. Pellicer has a plan, probably has his plan ready. I don't know. It's and to be honest, it's good to talk about it. But on the other side, this is playoffs. This is a final. Everything that happened in the past, you should throw it in the bin and forget about it, because this hasn't to do anything more with football tactics or what happened in the season.
Yeah.
This is all about who will get the strongest to the playoff final
on the
and
day.
who needs the most.
Do you think, obviously, look at the playoffs in England, it's a one-off game at Wembley. I'm not sure, how does it work in the Netherlands? Is it similar to England in terms of a one-off final, or
I
is
don't
it
know.
a final? So in England, obviously, all the playoff finals are one game at Wembley at a neutral ground. Do you think the two-legged game or this two-game system works in Malaga's favour, or do you think it goes against them?
I don't know if it works in Malaga's favor or not. In this situation, not, because Malaga is playing at home first. So, and that's the thing. The team that plays that ended higher in the league always have two advantages. That's playing the first match away and the second match at home. And if the draw, so it's a bit double, isn't it?
It is. I think, obviously,
and I'm not going to complain, because we had that luck in the first round of the playoffs. But it feels a bit odd to me. And then another thing is that I really much dislike two legs of a final.
Yeah,
I think the final should be played in one match and not in two.
Yeah, I think one match is definitely for me, I much prefer that sort of system. Yeah, you look at the other final just quickly before we wrap things up. Barcelona Athletic against Cordoba. I think we're all hoping Cordoba will win that one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think if I saw a stat actually from Nick, if Malaga and Cordoba both get promoted, there will be 5 teams in Segunda next
season. I don't
season.
want to talk about those things.
Is that making you too nervous?
It's still more than a week to go, and we're now already, it's 2 matches. Come on.
I'm just bringing positive vibes.
It's like grandma had wheels, it would be a bicycle.
We've got Gino De Campo on the pod.
Yeah.
I think that about wraps things up, to be honest. I think there's only so much you can say about this game. Like you said, on the day, anything can happen. Hopefully, Malaga can turn up and get a result, go to Tarragona with a result, maybe, a goal or 2 advantage. I think that's about everything, isn't it, Chris, wouldn't you say?
I probably would have to give Matt the biggest hug again this Saturday if we win. I got him off the ground. I hugged him off the ground like this. I never hugged someone so intense as I did last Saturday with Matt.
I'm sure he enjoyed it.
And there were people who saw it. They can confirm it. It lasted for about a minute. It was the best minute of my life.
So we've got, I'm coming down from Madrid. You're obviously there.
Too big, Alex. I cannot lift you off the ground.
Matt will be there as ever. I think so. Obviously, I'll be doing commentary, but I think we'll have Nick and Luke joining at halftime. And
we're going to do a bit of a different thing, so you have a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, so I can talk to
Yeah.
someone other than myself.
Yeah, and a bit to take a bit of a rest and
Yeah.
go to the toilet or to drink something.
Yeah, maybe have a glass of water.
Yeah.
So yes, and do also check out. We've just released the Vamos a Estadio de Balaidos on wherever you get your podcast. Matt,
Did you listen to it already?
I haven't listened to it yet.
I did already.
You did? You enjoyed it?
Very much. I always enjoy Mets away days and La Rosaleda ones, but he didn't do La Rosaleda for a while now. But I really much enjoyed this.
So yeah, go and listen to that. It's Matt, and it was Tony as well, friend of the pod. Now
Member of the pod.
Member of the pod.
Should we announce it? I think it's okay to announce it now.
Go on there. Have we not officially announced it on the pod?
No.
Wow. So we have a new graphic designer joining our team.
Are you hearing what we're saying, Alex? A graphic designer.
I know it's a very fancy and technical and professional word. He's not just any graphic designer though, Chris.
No. He's top of the top.
Who did he work with?
I don't know what's his name. Let me think. Someone called Fabrizio Romano or something.
Oh yeah, that Italian guy.
Yeah.
So
30.
Any graphics you would have seen from Fabrizio Romano, that would have been Tony. So we have.
Isn't that the guy who has all these scoops and they all come out always?
Yeah, he's always the first one, I think, to report all these traps.
Yeah. Did he also have something to do with Mbappe? He was
tweeting about Mbappe every day, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have Fabrizio.
Does he work with other people as well?
He tweets about everyone, doesn't he? He tweets about.
I read this week he also doing the graphic for some other English former footballer or something. I don't know. Didn't see the name. Oh. Yeah, and also something with the biggest Dutch football podcast related stuff.
So he's a very, very professional guy. Former Fabrizio Romano's former graphic designer, and he's obviously a Malaga fan. Say again, sorry.
He's a Malaga fan as well.
Yes, big Malaga fan. So him and Matt went to Balaidos. So go and listen to that. Vamos a Estadio de Balaidos.
Yes, and welcome, Tony.
Welcome, Tony. Good to have you in the team.
Yeah.
I think that just about wraps things up.
Do you think I could give him a nickname, Tony? Or is he too professional?
Yeah, I reckon you could. Yeah, I reckon you could.
Tony Macaroni?
That's too easy. That's too easy. Yes, that just about wraps things up for today. Malaga play this weekend, Saturday, 8:30 local time, the first leg of the Primera playoffs, the final against Gimnastic de Tarragona. Chris, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm very nervous again now. I had it under control before we started to record this. I'm telling you, last week when we recorded, I went to bed, lied in my bed. I said, no, this is not going to work. Got out, put my clothes on again, went for an hour walk around town, went to bed, still not going to work. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, I have to work tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think I fell asleep at 3 o'clock. So that will probably happen tonight as well.
Hopefully you don't come down with a bout of playoff fever just yet. So yes, thank you very much for listening wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be on the Sports Social Podcast Network or on Sport Direct Radio, Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. Give us a follow. Give us a like. And TikTok as well.
Friends.
Join us on Saturday, 8:25 local time, to hear more of my dulcet tones, as they're so called, and hear some analysis and insight from Nick and Luke, and maybe Chris and Matt if they're not too nervous at the stadium.
I think I'm too busy making another video. of this match.
Yes. So stay tuned for that video. Chris will be making one. Obviously, if we lose, I imagine you'll probably be like, no, I'm not going to release that.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, Recibimiento at 6:30, kickoff at 8:30, live stream starts at 8:25. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. You've been listening to the GuiCast on the Sports Social Podcast Network and Sport Direct Radio. As always, vamos Málaga, estamos en la final.
Vamos.